All right, so folks, I'm going to basically be drawing emojis for my Discord server. I'm gonna do 12 altogether. I already did 6. So I'm gonna show you the previous 6. So these are the previous 6 that I have. Let me see, what am I calling them? I don't even remember. So the one you see with the character Leopard, she's drinking from that straw. I call that waiting. Then there's Love, which is the one right next to her. That's Leopard. Then there's Blue Jay with a what? The question marks. And then there's like a mad and angry one. He's like, and then there's the laugh out loud one, which is him just dying. And then there's the wow, the ooh one with Leopard. Probably gonna touch that one up a little bit too. Gonna add a bit more shadows to it. But I did, so 3 of them are basically images that I just added stuff to, and I try to blend their colors a little bit more. Like this one, these 3 right here, this blue jay, and this leopard are all pre-drawn images. Waiting, laugh out loud, and ooh are all brand new images I just drew today. Yeah, I'm gonna add the shadows in onto her. That'll fix that problem. So it's my wow. All I have to do is just get to the color layer. So in the color layer, I'm just gonna add shadows to it so you can see like certain stuff are above other things. It'll make all the difference in the world too. It's such a simple concept, but it makes a difference once it's added in, because you can tell certain things are above other things that way. And these are inspired by stuff I've seen on Discord servers, like the Catalyst Black Discord server and the Hive Discord server that I'm on. And they had like some cool emojis. And that's where I got some of the ideas for the emojis I wanted to put for mine. I was gonna go 15, but one of the things I drew, I looked at it and I was like, ew, I don't like it. So I skipped it. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So I left it alone. So this should look better already. So the waiting one is the one you see right there, her drinking the drink from the straw. That's literally from one that I saw on the Hive server with one of the bees drinking. And I like that so much, so I made my own version of it. And a lot of the ones that you're seeing here, they're kind of based on some of the stuff I saw in the Catalyst Black server. Like the love on the Catalyst Black server only has 2 hearts, I have 3. The laughing, I don't know. The surprise, it's kind of mine. Angry is a constant thing that you see in emojis. So, and what you're seeing is Blue Jay in 2 of his different helmets. This is my classic helmet that you're seeing here, the classic helm, and this is the more advanced, the newer helm that was redesigned. This is from some artwork Henry Wilson did for me, and I liked it a lot. So what I'm gonna do is, moving forward in the comics, when I'm gonna draw them, this is a helm he gets after him and Leopard are married. It's like this suit she's wearing too. This is a gift from her cousin. And he's the character Cardinal. And he made the helm for Blue Jay, and he made the suit for Leopard. So it's just that Henry's design is so much cleaner and easier to draw. I moved over to it, and it's really neat. Like, I used to have her hair as multiple dreads hanging. He made it one giant braid. And for the longest, I couldn't draw the braid, and then I drew it once, and then it's been super easy to do. So I've been drawing it a lot more now. So these are the first 6 that I have, which is waiting, love, what, annoyed, laugh out loud or happy, and then wow, which is ooh. So I'm gonna close these out again, fix the hand, looks better already. And it's just a simple thing, just adding where shadow might be in the picture. So that's page 1, we're gonna get that out. Now we're gonna bring back up page 2, and these are the new ones. It's basically the sleeping, the crying, cool. I call this side eye, but it's like frustrated. Thumbs up, and peace. So like I can already see, like, sometimes when I'm doing GGs or when I'm doing stuff like that in games, leopard's coming out giving the peace sign. It's like GG. And I can tell you, like, these are my frustrated ones. And like if you see something you like, you drop Blue Jay, which is what makes this funny. Is he's wearing a helmet and a mask, and now he has sunglasses over it. Yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense, but that's what makes that funny. And it's kind of crazy. This is the most, like, you see smiles on Blue Jay, because the character is usually not smiling, which is a very funny thing for me. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to try to ink them all on one layer, and I'm going to cut them out and put them on separate ones later. So I'm just going to reduce opacity just so I can do my inks, and I'm going to color them all at one time too. It'll save me effort later too. And then I'm just going to cut them out into their own layers when I'm done, just to have them. Actually, I don't even have to, but what I got to do after that is I got to create the emoji sizes. The 3 sizes for emojis are supposed to be like, because I'm going to try to create it for like multiple different things. I don't know how to put them on Facebook yet. I don't know how to create the emoji pack, all those things. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do those things. And I'm going to use these. And the thing is, if people like them after I put them up, if people want me to do them for their characters, I already have an idea how much they're going to cost, because it takes a little bit of time, but it's not like super hard to do for me. But it's kind of neat. So it's another way to get some revenue in also for myself. Boop, boop. All right, so we're just gonna start doing the inking to get clean ones. Funny is, this one that I'm using for the sleep is actually a panel in book 2. It's like almost on the last panel on page 22. So like the inks that I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna definitely have them on their own layer, so then I can bring it back and use it inside the book too. It'll save me some time. Because this is what's called tight. Is almost everything that you see here looks already decent, so I could just use it. Like if I was just to take the lines that you see there and just made them black, it would have been usable for me. I wouldn't have to go over it again. But the thing is, the panel is actually a lot smaller. So I actually added more stuff to Blue Jay, like to his back and so on and so forth. So more of his back is shown and things like that. I'm just using the technical pen. I was using the technical pen to do the basic inking. It's kind of the one that I use the most. I started doing this because I was trying to get out of a funk. Like I was feeling a bit down, and I couldn't focus on doing the Captain Jamaica pages that I wanted to do. So I started working on maybe trying to understand a little bit more on how to manage a Discord server, because I'll tell you, for the life of me, it's completely confusing to me. It's kind of funny because I've always been in tech and doing technology and stuff. It's not coming easy. Like before I started following the Catalyst Black server, I tried using Discord maybe 3 to 4 times before, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Once I was on the Catalyst Black server and following the game and being on it a little bit more, it started making a bit more sense, like how to use it. Because I had my kids who use Discord like crazy, try to explain it to me, and I still couldn't get it. So it's gonna probably take a lot of playing around and just using it to figure out like how to pretty much use Discord. So what I'm probably gonna just play around with it. Cause like I put in some bots and they don't seem to be working. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like it doesn't seem to be working very well. So I'm gonna try to see how they work on the servers that they're from. See how they work there. But yeah, I don't fully understand how Discord bots or servers really run. Like I can run a website, I can run web pages using programs like WordPress, Joomla. I can actually manage pages in those respects. But yeah, the server's a little confusing to me, so I'm trying to figure it out still. What I might have to do is just ask one of the younger folks that I see who set up servers, like for some tips or some explanation on it. And my kids also freaking set up the server. If I was really being a jerk, I could just say, "You're running this server, and you're gonna fix it and make it work." And they really could. That's what's kind of funny about it. My kids could actually do it, and it might be a better thing for them to be doing with their time than just playing stupid games all the time. I just figured out how to get my Facebook posts to be posted to Facebook a Facebook channel inside my server. So that's one thing that at least it'll be updating content without me having to always do that. And I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to do that with Twitter and maybe Instagram too. Maybe Instagram, because I post from Instagram to Twitter and Facebook. But the Twitter always goes towards what was I gonna say? Facebook always goes to my main page. It doesn't go to like my normal user profile. It doesn't go to my business page or my page for ISOROD Studios, which would be kind of nice if we could do that, but that's how that works. I have a few, what do you call it, ways I could use this. I can have it like the person's so boring you passed out, or like I'm dead, and they just got zzz, and you have the Z sounds, but Z means sleeping. So I might create two versions of this one with the Z and the others without. But no, I think I might actually just leave it alone. Just have it as the sleeping one. I actually wanted to do like a little comic with Blue Jay, and like have him like jump into the world of Catalyst Black, and like he fights Sunder. It's one of those ideas that I had. Actually, I don't want to, and the way I always do it whenever I do little stories like that, I do motion comics out of them. Actually, there's like 3 motion comics that I started on my own that I have to actually finish. I have to actually draw some art for. And I know the stories in my head, I just haven't drawn them out. I'm going to see how fast I can do those 2. And then I have to start on Micha Chapter 2 also. I have all the artwork for it. I just have to sit down and letter out the pages to set it out. And what it's gonna do is gonna generate a new. It's gonna generate a new, actual new Micha book, issue 2. And the way it works is whenever I do a motion comic, I also generate comic book pages out of it too. So anything you see in the motion comic, it's also formatted for comic book consumption also. So that's, to me, how you basically deal with it if you want to show it to somebody offline. So that's the way I see whenever I do comics. What's kind of cool is it's kind of neat when people can, like when people buy the books from my online bookstore, I also then redirect them to, I'm like, yeah, you can actually see it also as a motion comic here, just so they can see it in other ways. So it's kind of a neat way to have it. And I'm thinking maybe I might start doing that with some of my books too. You can either watch the book or you can actually read the book. What I'm gonna do too is, after I finish doing the motion comics, I'm gonna do sort of like what they did in what they've done with a lot of the Marvel stuff on Hulu. They actually released them as kind of like little animated movies, where it's just a motion comic playing all the way through. So I'm gonna try to do that with some of my stuff too. Like the first ones I have in mind doing that for are the brother ones that I've done. So I'm gonna try to do something like that with them. I already have the first brother one that I did, Therapy. I believe Therapy, Brother Three Tails, and Brother Black and White, they can be one whole movie, those three together. And then the Trial of Omodara is its own movie, like based just on how much time it is doing the previously on the brother and stuff like that. I believe Trial of Omodara is like almost 20 minutes long. If I cut that stuff out and I don't repeat things over and over and over again, Trial of Omodara is actually a little bit shorter. It's because I do the previously, which it takes maybe about a minute to 2 minutes in each one. And also I do the brother in and over again on each one. That's probably another, I'm thinking altogether with all that stuff, you could probably take off a minute for the three, maybe 2 minutes for each of the following episodes. And then the first one, I only have to do it once. So yeah, so I think about 6 minutes comes off. So it's a 35-minute run time. It's going to bring it down to maybe around 29 minutes. And I might have to visit it in and do some corrections on voices and stuff like that. So I just got to check to see how off certain things were. There's even some scenes I might actually have to redo, because when I did the Warble, I actually saw there was some mistakes in it. And I'd like to get it perfect if I release it as a movie. And it's a digital file people can buy, and after you buy it, I can send it to you. Or I could do like services too. I have it on my YouTube channel or another video streaming platform. And then when you want to watch it, I send you a link that you can watch it at any time online. Like freaking Amazon's like, you don't own anything. You just you're kind of like you're paying to have access to it. So like every Marvel movie I bought on Apple, I actually downloaded them into my computer. Actually, I don't need to do that. So that one's done, and we just close it off. So what's going to make this a little bit easier is all the Blue Jays are going to be colored together, and all the leopards are going to be colored together. So it'll save a lot of time. It'll be a lot easier to do. than doing them all separately. And this is a redesign by Henry. Like, I like some of the choices. Henry Wilson. If you ever see the brother stuff that I do, Trial of Omodara, Brother Therapy. If you look at Brothers 3, Three Tales, I think Henry drew all the art in every one of those issues I mentioned, except for the Brothers Trial of Omodara. I added an epilogue to it that I drew. I mimic his style. It's not exact, but you can definitely see, like, the drawing style is not so different that it'll be jarring to you. Like, you're like, oh, what the hell happened? It mimics. I mimic his style. I'm getting better at figuring out like what he's doing, but I still can't draw like him. I love his style. It's like, it looks like a cartoon cell, the way he draws. I like the way his stuff looks. I'm coming up with techniques that are getting me a bit closer to that. Whoa. The heck was that? Is it Discord? Let me see if there's anything in Discord. It's some Discord thing. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's just pull it through. Nope, let's pull. Nope, that's not gonna work. This is gonna be really thick glasses. Boy, this is annoying. I'm gonna know, nobody else is gonna know, so it doesn't really matter. And the coloring process. So the playlist that's playing right now is 1 hour and 39 minutes. Once that's finished, I'm probably gonna end the stream. I'm not gonna go past that. Because I did a lot of this layout stuff. It was kind of cool. I was able to do a lot of the layout offline. So you didn't have to watch me figure everything out and try to draw all of this stuff. I said Henry's design is really neat. And it's the funny thing is his Blue Jays design, while it's simpler, also looks a little bit more menacing. And then my buddy Vince White drew a version of it for the Power vs. Crossplay card game, and that version is the same design. It's the same helmet look, but the way he did it, it doesn't look as the way I draw it. Doesn't look as menacing as the way I draw it. Like, what's funny about it is Blue Jay gives off the impression of a Batman-like character, but he's actually more of like a Superman type, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more get everybody to work together types. I don't know if that's Superman like, but something like that. Like whenever I see Superman, the Flash, those kind of characters, they're not as pessimistic as Batman, in my opinion. Those are like the two hopeful characters. Like in the Flash CW show, I think that's the biggest weird thing that I always see about that show. Flash never is super hopeful. He's always so down in the dumps about everything. Like he's so down in the dumps about everything. You're just like, come on, bro. It's like sometimes you wish you just wish he'd flash up or something, man. Like he'd take on the mantle that you expect Flash to have, which isn't a freaking a Debbie Downer. Flash is it's got to be really bad for Flash to lose hope, and that's how I wish he was a little bit more in the show. As the lead character, it's always sad to see, like, Flash will always go out of his character. They did it multiple times in, like, over the seasons where they make him do stupid things where he behaves more like Oliver than like himself. And every time he does it, he gets burned. Every time he tries to be more edgy or break the rules, or I'm not gonna do the hopeful way, I'm gonna go hard, and it always backfires on him. So that's the thing. They gotta keep. I really hope like they fix that in season 7, because they're finishing off the arc from season 6 before COVID hit. So it's gonna be kind of cool to see. Like, I mean, I love the whole cast. I think they're actually really great. But like, to me, the Forrest, the Sawyer Hartley stuff is kind of weird. If it was like he wrote that stuff a week ago, I would have said, yeah, fire him. He wrote that stuff like 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 years ago, or maybe even 7 years ago. And within that time, he personally knows that, like, he's changed a lot and he's been growing. And the thing is, you can already see too, he didn't even fight it. He didn't argue. Like, he's like, yeah, they're wrong. Like, I mean, I fully understand what they're why they made the decision they made. I just wish they were willing to say, we're really disappointed in what he did. We're really not happy about it, but we had a conversation with him, and judging from like the Sawyer Hartley we know, and from what we've seen, we take him at his word that he's changed. Like, I would have been upset about that. Like, I mean, I think that would have been the more logical thing of what to do, instead of like throwing a whole character out of the mix. It's kind of weird. That's the only thing I didn't understand, because the way he was being positioned, the elongated man was going to become a major player in the stories of the Flash. So I wish they had done that. I wish they had just kept the guy on. It's the same. My same theory with James Gunn. James Gunn did the exact same kind of thing. He, like a lot of these guys, I don't know what it is with them. Like, they want to be edgy and they want to be push the boundaries, and they'll make really weird, sick jokes on the internet. Like no one realized Twitter was going to be as big as Twitter became if not for Donald Trump. That's the one thing Trump did. He saved that company, because Twitter was like on its last legs. I don't think Twitter would be where it is now today if Donald Trump didn't kind of make it his go-to platform for spreading out information, like being able to bypass the news and just take any brain fart he was having and just put it out there into the ether. Without Twitter, he wouldn't have been able to do any of that. And without Donald Trump, Twitter would not have been as popular as it is now. Because like I said, it was dying. It looked like it was dying for real, for real. With me, I was using Facebook predominantly. I was doing all my streaming on Facebook. But what happened with Facebook is they've been making it harder and harder to work with your stream. Like if I try to share my stream to a group now in Facebook, I can't, which is weird. Because before, I could. Like a year ago, it wasn't even an issue. Even 5 or 6 months ago, it wasn't an issue. So they just changed that. So now I can't share my stream while it's live, which is annoying. There's a bunch of weird things that they've done that just makes it so unfriendly. And I think their theory is, okay, so now he'll pay for these things. I'm just like, no, I won't. So I just moved on. And it's kind of interesting that I found Twitch streaming around the same time all this weirdness started happening because of the Catalyst Black game server. When I said like, oh yeah, I'd love to stream the game when I actually if I got into the early access, I'm like, I'll be streaming like all the time. And the funny thing was, it's like one guy's like, yeah, if you're gonna do it, definitely use Stream Champ. I'm like, Stream Champ? What the heck is that? Haha, Amy EC3. Yeah, I found a bunch of people I started following. Like, if you're interested in political discourse or just hearing people's views about certain things that are going on in politics and stuff like that, it's kind of cool. And some of these people do reaction to like TV shows that I'm not willing to watch anymore. So it's kind of cool to hear the take that some people have. And sometimes when I'm just doing work, it's nice to just have something in the background and to hear stuff that's going on. But Amy EC3, I started following her a few days ago, but that was like I watch the Young Turks Network on or TYT. I watch it on Twitch, and like around 2 or 3 times after the TYT broadcast was over, they shifted us over. They rated her stream, and like each time they rated, I kind of watched for about 5 or 6 hours. I mean, or maybe 2 or 3 hours. The last time I watched for a long time because this was during everybody trying to find out when Biden was when they were gonna declare Biden the winner, because it got obvious a few days earlier than they called it. Like at least 2 days before they called it, it was kind of obvious. So the whole thing with her is she has like insight into West Virginia. Like why is it so hard to get West Virginia to West Virginians to vote for their common interests? Like what's the social makeup of that area, like how these people think. So that was interesting. Like she provides some insight on that, being from the area. So it was pretty cool to get an idea of like what makes people vote the way they vote, or what's their issue with the Democrats or Obama or so on and so forth. And it was pretty interesting to find out what it is. And these guys, even though that coal mining is a dying industry and it's not the best way to move forward in the future, they're dead set on getting coal jobs back, and that's not where the future is. So it's interesting to see like the perspective. But Kentucky is very similar too. It's the Appalachia area. So there's all of those areas are kind of going through a very similar thing, and they have a very similar family background and makeup. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of cool. Then there's Hassan Piker, who used to be on TYT, but he started streaming independently, and he's doing really well. And it was kind of cool to watch him too, because I remember when he used to do the breakdown. It was kind of funny watching his stuff. So it's cool to see like he's doing really well. He's very successful in streaming on Twitch. So that's kind of nice. Like the funny thing is he plays games also. But the thing is he does commentary on politics because he's, I believe, a socialist or a communist. I don't remember. He's one or the other. But it's an interesting view. Like it's interesting views that he has. And the funny thing about it is people are so worried about labels. They don't like the label socialist. They don't like the label communist. They don't like any of the labels, but they don't really know what they mean. They just think they're bad because they were told so. And if you look at like what socialism is, we actually have a mixed economy that already has socialism in it. That word social security, socialist program. And it's one of the more popular socialist programs that are in the United States. When you watch your garbage get collected, that's socialism, because what's happening is the money is coming in and it's being from taxes and it's being decided on how it can be used to help the community that's there. That's literally what socialism really entails versus capitalism, which is just about making money. So it's not as bad as everybody thinks. And they're like, oh, look at these horrible socialist countries like Venezuela. The funny thing that a lot of people don't know about Venezuela, Venezuela is not just falling apart because Venezuela is socialist and it's bad. Venezuela is constantly under sanctions by the U.S., embargoing it, preventing them from getting money from the World Bank, preventing them from doing any transaction with any of their stuff, and causing massive inflation and destroying their economy, which is why everything's so bad in Venezuela. There are issues with the leader that's there. He could be a little bit of on the totalitarian side, or a little bit more like a dictator type, but he's not the only cause of things that are going on. There is a lot of extraneous factors that the U.S. actually is causing, that's causing that situation to be as bad as it is. If you're wondering, same thing with Cuba. The reason a lot of the Cuban people who came to the United States, they were part of that bourgeoisie class that lost a lot of the stuff that they had while everybody else was suffering in Cuba. And that's why they vote Republican all the time. They like that stuff. And I also found out from speaking with family members too, like some of the Puerto Rican folks that are here, they don't like that the other Puerto Ricans folks were coming from the island. They felt like they were outsiders, and it's just like that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, they didn't like the fact. It's sort of like there's what do you call it? Water is rising up really high, and everybody work together to build a ladder, and you go up the ladder first, and then after you get up there, you pull the ladder up and say nobody else can come up, because you don't want to waste the supplies and everything that everybody worked together to get, because you're there. Everybody needs to figure something out for themselves. That's kind of what's going on. That's kind of sad. And the funny thing too, like if everyone's wondering like how did Trump get such a high Hispanic vote? A lot of the folks who are here too, they don't consider themselves like the Hispanic folks that are coming in. They consider themselves completely different, and they're not all from the same country either. You have Cubans, you have Puerto Ricans. The people that are coming in at the border are Honduran, Guatemalan. They're a bunch of different other nationalities. So the comedy is everybody acts like it's the same thing when you're saying like, oh, blacks are united. You find funny little breakdowns in the black community where they will talk about Caribbean born. I'm busy. They'll talk about Caribbean born blacks like it's like they're different people. Like it's kind of sad. It's sort of like I am a first generation American with Caribbean parents from Haiti, or my parents came from Haiti. So I'm a Haitian American and I was born in this country. I'm first generation. So like I don't really think like reparations are going to go to me per se, like, oh, I deserve reparations for the slave trade and stuff like that. Even though the United States might have touched Haiti in some way, like I'm not seeing myself as that. Like maybe the only thing I might see is because I'm a black person who is from a country where there was slavery and the slave trade was a big business in the United States. There might be some benefits for black people, period. So I might get benefits from that. But like reparations and stuff like that, I don't think I'm going to be getting that. And I do think the folks who are here in the U.S. who are American descendants of slave, they should get something. Like, I mean, they deserve something. But the problem is, sometimes I'll go into to hear something about somebody going to talk about ADOS. And I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. And then the first thing that the people say is to you is, well, we don't want to deal with Caribbean blacks. You're just like, okay, I'm going to stop listening now. So that's literally what I do. I just stop listening. You don't want to deal with people. You want to call people out and say stuff like, oh, this guy did this horrible thing. He's from the island. You guys need to check your people. And it's just like, really? So when you have some dude who was born here in the United States blow off his girlfriend's face, should we start saying you guys should check your people? Like, I mean, come on, bro. That's not you. Are you a guy who would basically blow up your girlfriend's face if you're having a disagreement with her? No. So why are you acting like people from the islands are going to be connected with some psychopath or some evil jerk, and that has to do with us? It doesn't. So you should stop doing that. Stop telling me to own criminals that are criminals. Same way I wouldn't tell you to own a criminal that's a criminal here. I wouldn't automatically lump you in with the criminals, but that's what they do around here. Like they're dividing people who might want to support them. They're telling them, stay away. We don't need your help. Okay. Less numbers for you. This happened. I remember one time, me and like my wife, we're separated now though. We went to Harlem because I was hearing on radio networks that I was listening to, like, yeah, man, Harlem's like under siege and they kind of need help, and they need the greater black community to come and support them. So me and my wife head up to Harlem. It's not like it's close for us. We were in Queens. It's a really long train ride. We go there. There's a meeting that they're having, and they're talking about, hey, how can they stop gentrification, save the community. And while you're in the meeting, the first thing this one woman says is, there's a lot of people here that are from outside, and they're coming. And then, you know what I was just saying to her? So my wife was like, well, screw her. Like, why am I going to be here? We're coming here to try to support you. And what you literally come and say is you don't want us here. So then we left. And guess what? No one's there to support you. There's no help, and things fall apart. What can I do? I am not going to stay somewhere I'm being told that I'm not wanted to be. And I know there are people who be like, oh, why is she saying that? Hey, she got to say it. Nobody really pushed back, rebuffed her on what she said. So everybody got the message. Yeah, you don't want us to help you. You don't want us to be involved. You don't want us to try to help you save the community. This like black metropolis that's in New York. You don't want us to be here. You just want the white people to come in and throw you out. Hey, good luck. And we left. What are we supposed to do? It's weird stuff like that when you're dividing. You won't accept help from people who are coming to try to offer it. I'm not trying to say I want a whole block in Harlem. I'm not saying I want a store in Harlem. I'm trying to see like what we can do to keep this as a thriving black mecca. And you're saying you don't want us here. So that's what I see. There's a lot of that going on. It's the same thing with like I said, I don't affiliate myself with Democrats anymore. Like I literally am an independent because I'm tired of people trying to do things within the Democratic Party and all that stuff. And you try to vote and say, okay, I'm going to support like the best candidate, the guy who's talking to people about their needs and stuff like that. And then what you have is the Democratic Party say, nah, we know better. And they literally, what's so scary about this election, even though I had a feeling Biden would win, and I thought he would win, I thought he would have won more convincingly. I didn't think that many white men and women were okay with the things that Trump were doing. I didn't think that many people in the country were okay with the way things were. So it's surprising. And the fact that it was so close is shocking. And some people are saying, yeah, you shouldn't be celebrating. It was a really close race. It's to the credit of people like Stacey Abrams and other groups that were working in Georgia, Nevada, and working their butt off to try to get these people to unite together and get voters, Hispanic voters, black voters, Asian voters, all of these minority groups to come out in really large numbers to vote against Trump. But the thing that the Democratic Party does over and over and over again is after all of that is done, they really will not support those people. They'll go back to trying to cater favor to the corporations, where without these people voting for you, you wouldn't be in power. And every time, like, I'm really hoping Joe Biden is able to be that guy that we need, because we don't need another corporate guy. I'm hoping he's the guy that people can mobilize in the street, and when they're talking and stuff like that, he comes out, he listens, and he's like, they have a point, and he does something. I'm hoping. Will he be? I don't know. Am I hoping that he is that guy? I am. That's what I'm hoping for. Because it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be simple, but they can't just do what they did during the Obama years, just like say, nah, there's nothing we can do about it. There's ways you can maneuver. There's stuff that you can do. There's hardball you can play. You got to come at people. You got to try to do something. You can't just say my hands are tied and there's nothing I can do. That's just not going to cut it. Because sit here for 4 years and leave things just the way they are, Republicans are winning next race. And if they get a person who's just as charismatic as Trump and knows what he's doing politically, man. Because the thing about Trump is people think it's a joke. If he won that second term, there wasn't going to be an election after this term. There just really wasn't. And if you think that's just that I'm just talking out of my butt, nah. Trump literally said, yeah, maybe I should be president for life in passing one time. And like when he does that, those are feelers. He's pushing it out to see if there's going to be pushback. And if there is no pushback, that's that. Like, I mean, with everything that he did and how emboldened he was, because there's a bunch of laws that I would love to see Joe Biden own a company and not divest out of the company and make deals to make that company make money, and the Republicans don't impeach him on that. I'd love to see him do that, because he's going to be impeached. They're going to be demanding that the Democrats act. That's how crazy it is. They won't do anything when it's their party in power, and then they expect the other party to do everything. And what's scary is Democrats will do it. They'll try. And you're just like, what are you doing? But they'll try. And it's weird, it's crazy, it's confusing. But yeah, that's the dynamic that we're kind of in the United States with politics. One side, doesn't matter what's happening, they will not budge an inch. And the other side, they keep trying to be fair while they're basically stabbing themselves in the gut while they're being fair. And this guy's like, why don't you stab yourself? It's like, okay. Like, it can't be that way. You got to put up some kind of fight. You can't just accept their framing of everything, and you can't worry about the optics of you be willing to stand up and fight. You can't. And people need it. Like, the crazy thing is, it was shocking to hear in this thing where Bernie spoke either on ABC or something, and then this corporate or conservative Democrat talks after him. Bernie's right. There's these things, and you're just like, wow, those words are so rare to hear them like agree with what Bernie Sanders says. Because the thing about it is, all those people who claim they hate Bernie Sanders, they can't stand him, or Bernie Sanders just want power. No, he doesn't. If you know anything about Bernie Sanders, you know none of that is true. What Bernie Sanders sees is there's a lot of people hurting, and he was running. Even if he knew he couldn't win, the idea was to run to move other candidates closer to his positions, to make them see that these positions have value and you cannot just ignore them. So that's really what challengers like him are for. Until you have the change in the way the Democratic Party picks its leaders and the way the bureaucracy works inside that corporation. And yes, if anyone's wondering, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are corporations. Until they can change the governance inside those corporations, people like Bernie Sanders can't win. And the funny thing is, what they don't understand is people are looking for people like Bernie Sanders. Nobody can keep living in the same situation where nothing will change, and we just keep giving tax cuts to super rich people and say we're all winning, and we're not. Where people are being evicted out of their houses and all that stuff. So that's the key of what has to be done. They have to act. They cannot pussyfoot. They got to figure out what they can do, when they can do it, whether the Senate is agreeing with them or supporting them or not, whether they have the Senate, whether they don't have the Senate. They have to do something. They can't just sit by and say, I can't do anything because I don't have the Senate. Because I'll tell you, man, Republicans, whether they have Senate, whether they don't have the Senate, whatever, they come up with some kind of game plan, whether it's a negative game plan or a positive game plan. They get the game plan running, and they literally affect the politics of everything that's going around. So that's the same thing. The difference is, like, the reason it's so hard for Democrats or even progressives to pull this off. Democrats and progressives tend to care more about actual people. They understand, like, wow, if I block this, these people will not be able to get anything done for them, and they're going to suffer, and they need help, and they're my constituents. I have to take care of them. Where in the Republican mindset is, my donors, they're my constituents. I have to take care of them. And Same problem with corporate Democrats too. People who take money from super rich people. The problem is, if you look at those people's voting record, you'll see that they always match up very much so to what money they've taken or what money they've gotten from corporation, from lobbyists or whatever. Their votes always go in, what do you call it, the direction of where they get the most money. So you can literally figure out how they're going to vote 90% of the time by just looking at who gave them donations and how much they were given. And they will always not do anything for their constituents. They'll always side with the person who gave them the most money. And the problem is, that's not how it's supposed to be working. We're not sending you to Congress to spend your time lobbying for money. We're sending you to Congress to fix issues that we're suffering from, to make our situation better. You're representing us to fix things for us, not figure out how you can get the most money and stay in power so you can make more money. That's not your job. But yeah, that's what we see a lot in politics here. So money in politics, or bribes in politics, it's a bad thing, and it needs to be figured out. They got to remove the incentive that these folks have for not actually doing their jobs. It's really important. There you go, Blue Jay. So let me just see. Yeah, so the Blue Jays are done. Nope, missed something. Actually, the Blue Jays are not done. I gotta finish this one here. Yeah, so what's interesting about Blue Jay is the helm is kind of like Hawkman. Hawkman mixed in with Batman. Like, that's the whole idea of, like, when I designed the character. He was supposed to be a bird version of Batman. So that was the whole idea when I was trying to build them. So a lot of his takes on stuff, people might think, oh my God, it's Batman. But I'm telling you, he's more like Superman. It's an interesting little take that I pulled off on it. He doesn't run a corporation. He runs he's part owner of a cooperative. So that's another one of those differences. So the way I see it, like with the whole idea of what I was doing with my story of Blue Jay and the Rush and stuff like that, there's certain things I actually wanted to talk about or show. And then the trick was I was going to use superheroes in a sci-fi story to talk about like social issues and ideas that I have. But I was going to do it through a comic. And instead of like being like the big message in front of you, it's actually a running theme through the whole story where you can actually see these things that I'm talking about. But I'm never really directly throwing them in your face. There are stories that will eventually have to do with conflicts in certain characters who own businesses and people who are within those businesses, and certain decisions they make will make other people unhappy. And yeah, so like, I mean, that's kind of the way you'll see it, but it's all more part of a story device, and it tells the story without me forcing it, like just trying to beat you over the head with the concepts. But that's kind of like what I wrote this for. And even the original character was designed more as a tutorial generating character. Like it would show you how to do comics and stuff. And there was a method I was using where it's called swiping, also known as referencing. You would generate your panels by using a panel from multiple comic books, shots comic books that has a shot that you're looking for, and then you would generate your image from that. And I was doing that for a bit. But what's funny is the more you draw and the more you've been working on comics and the more you do stuff, the quicker you get, and you start to be able to do a lot of those panels and designs from your head without having to actually look at somebody else's work. And it gets really cool when panels and pages are all laid out from your head. The only thing I still reference the hell out of are cars and weapons you might see sometimes, and like a place. If it's a place that really exists or even doesn't exist, what I try to do is I try to use real structures and real buildings because I'm not really good at that great at background. But the technique that I use is literally inking over those actual pictures, and it's very reminiscent of a style that artists used to use, where they would rexograph a image, or Xerox an image, or photocopy an image, and then they would then use that a gray version as their city backdrop or something like that. So it's pretty much the exact same thing, just in the digital age, where I can just take the picture and use it as a reference. And what I like to do is there's some stuff I take verbatim. There are other stuff where I will modify and change, just so I can create what I'm trying to create. So not all of it is just a straight copy what you see. So that's kind of like what I try to do with my stuff. You make a noise, you're leaving. So don't make a noise. Oh, neck cracking, good time. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, that looks wrong. All right, let me see if I can fix it. Why is it so hot in here? That's weird. It's usually like super freezing in my room. Yeah, the wonders of digital art. Like, yeah, you get to. Sometimes you don't have to redraw everything. Sometimes you're able to just fudge it back into position, and things start looking okay. All right, we're almost there. Like, this is probably gonna be one of the harder pictures because stupid tears. I can also do some mascara already. Actually, let's say she doesn't have mascara on. Let's just do the liquid. Yeah, so that's one. So this is the other eye. So what I'm hoping to do is once I finish making my emojis that I have, and I gotta figure out how to make them public, so then I can use them on other servers in Discord. So it's gonna be like a public thing for me. So no matter what site I'm on, I'll be able to use my emojis, or anybody who has them can use my emojis. So the reason is, it's literally like kind of like advertisement for me, for my characters and my stuff. So if you're a member of my server, you'll be able to use my stuff. And then what I got to try to figure out is how to do the same with I got to see what's the steps to like put in an image pack or a server pack to Facebook, because I see there's a lot of them in there. Some of them you pay for, some of them are free. And the trick is I might do it free too, because again, it's more about getting my stuff known versus trying to make money off it. It's sort of like free advertisement. And like when people start seeing the characters, they're like, who the hell is that? And that's kind of what I'm really going for. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Like, there's certain things about Leopard that's interesting. Like, her lipstick is black, and that's because buddy Jamar Logan did this image of Leopard ages ago, and I was like, oh man, that the black lipstick is so cool. And ever since then, she's always had black lipstick. It's like each thing like about the character, the look of the characters has been informed by other artists. Jamar Logan and Vince White were the ones who darkened Blue Jay's eyes and gave him like yellowish or goldish eyes. And ever since they did that, I started doing it. And because of other comic books I'm drawing with characters with gold eyes and certain like thing like that, I make gold eyes mean something also in my comic book world, or in the comic book worlds that I draw. And I make all the worlds interconnected with shared commonalities or patterns in them. So that's one of the things that I try to do. And like the whole idea of what we were trying to do with the Powerverse was, there's no way one book or one indie group is going to be able to compete with Marvel and DC. It's just not possible. You don't have the money, you don't have the volume, you don't have the ability to create the output that's necessary to be able to meet the demand and the notoriety that those companies already have. So what we were trying to do with the Powerverse was create a combined universe of desperate studios, very similar to what Image did, but instead of forcing the stories to interact with each other and all the worlds are the same, the only things that were common in the world were the super elements and certain things that are happening and certain things that are behaving were common. Story-wise, your branding, everything else, you're branded as Powerverse, but the idea of branding you as Powerverse is not to say, oh, now we own your stuff and you can't sell it anywhere else. We're in charge of it and we're going to make the money off it. The idea of branding it as Powerverse was so it's connected to every other book that's also branded Powerverse. That was the point of it. That was the only reason for branding. We know it was never a grab to say, oh wow, Will Power is so much better than everybody. He's in charge of the universe. It was creating a cosmology and a linked cosmology and something where all the worlds were together. And that's why, unlike most people, my world still has the designation that it had when we were doing the Powerverse. My world is still called Dime 4. And the idea is it's connected to the comic book, The Legend of Willpower. even though my stuff is called Char Comics. But there are certain things in our comic books that are the same, like the place where you would find the beings that say that they're gods. They're called the Omni gods. So I named mine the same way. They're in an area called the Immortal Plane that I'm using that. There are things that I'm doing in my story, and when something happens and I want to give you an explanation, I say, hey, it's very similar to the density matter converter, the fifth dimensional stasis chamber that you can find in Legend of Willpower #1. Why do that? Because Marvel has all of these books that are interconnected, that are interwoven. When you were a kid reading comic books, you would say, hey, these are related to the events that happened in Secret Wars #2. And you're like, what the hell is Secret Wars? So you wanted to go find the Secret Wars comic book to go see what are these events that they're talking about. So if I drop Legend of Willpower in my Blue Jay and the Rush comic book, it's very similar to this, which you can see in the Legend of Willpower #1. You go, hey, let me go check out this, what do you call it, fifth dimensional, what do you call it, stasis chamber. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty neat. Now you're reading the Willpower books and go like, wow, these two things are connected. Duh, that was the whole point. It's basically free marketing for other books by linking all the books through common threads of things like for story elements. What it also helps me is if I wanted to create something story-wise and I didn't want to come up with an idea from scratch, I can go to one of the other creators that are there. I'm like, hey, can I use these guys in this story? And then I'll refer them back to your book. If they say yes, you do so. And that's really all it was. It's linking through editorial to editorial control, linking through these prologues and epilogues. That was the whole link of the books. And the only way like these characters really interact with each other, where they're like the Justice League or whatever, they interact with each other in a book called The Powers That Be. And what The Powers That Be was going to be a team book of characters from all over the multiverse, from all different comic book companies, that there's a major threat and people are brought in to try to solve that threat. And you're able to showcase all of these characters and have them in a story that's coherent, and you get to see what their abilities are and what they can do. That was it. That was the big connection. Like the thing is, everybody was like, yo, Powerverse is a publisher and they're not publishing my books or they're not doing whatever. The idea wasn't for us to basically take control and get you all the resources and do all this. The idea was for us to all work together. So instead of us each putting out one book per year, we have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 books coming out of the Powerverse in a year. Duh. Even though they're not the same book or the same story, because of those connecting little prologues that are telling a constant similar story, people will be like, yo, I wonder what's going on with that thing. And they might pick up your book to continue finding out what's going on in the freaking prologue and the epilogue, because those stories are telling the greater story of the Powerverse. Duh. And the greater story of the Powerverse is telling you that the Powerverse is everywhere and it's in everything. It's all comic books that you're reading. And the reason we're saying that is because those comic books are all different realities, because they all have their own rules and stuff is going on. And these desperate worlds can come together in one book to do stuff. Then what you would just do is elements like Weaver Metal, Nultanium, Fifth Stone, Aquatic X, Spirit Jensen. Like you're like, what the hell are those? Exactly. Marvel has Adantanium, Vibranium. I mean, that was the whole point. I have Agamotto, which gained some notoriety because of Doctor Strange recently. Like, that's the whole freaking point. You're creating a mythology and connected things. That's the point of a shared universe. A shared universe's point is not to constrain stories. A shared universe's point is to promote and tell the stories of other people by linking them together and sending people from one book to the other to go check out what's going on. That was the whole point. That's all we wanted to do. But the stories you'll hear is, oh, people were stealing money and people were like, come on, man. The biggest mistake we did, because it was me, Vince, and a few other people who were there, we didn't charge people. That was our mistake. That's our biggest error. We did a lot of free work. And while you were doing free work, people were acting like they were paying you or paying your bills. And they weren't. That's why everything now is charged. Even if it's not a lot initially, but like if I gotta pay my bills too, if I gotta do stuff, I gotta charge people for the things I'm doing. So like I said, after I finish this, hopefully my head stops hurting so much, because I don't have the headache that I've been having all yesterday and this morning. So it feels a bit better. So once I'm done with these and I upload them onto Discord, in the next few days, I'm going to try to finish the other 5 layouts for Captain Jamaica and finish inking those 7 pages, color those 7 pages, letter those 7 pages, and then Captain Jamaica will be done. So that's my plan, really. Like, this is more of like a palette cleanser, something I needed to do just to get my head right, because I couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't move on to the next thing I wanted to do. And this lets me draw also. And the thing I like a lot is I'm getting better with faces, emotions. Like, you get an idea of like what each of the faces are doing, and smiles, and how to play with mouths and stuff like that to make the things look cool. So I'm kind of happy with that stuff. So a lot of the music you're hearing in the background is from a video game named Bastion. Yeah, so that's the funny thing. If you ever see me doing my art stream can get into politics a lot. My art stream can get into principles I have on doing comics themselves. Like, things that you might not be thinking you're going to see with somebody who's drawing. Because there's a lot of guys who don't speak at all while they draw. And I don't know what they expect people to do. And music is not always just enough. And the way Twitch works to it gives you a way to interact with people. So I'll just do my art streams. What's kind of nice too is after I'm done with the stream, I can create an excerpt or a highlight that I can push over to YouTube. So I'm gonna do that also. Whether people actually watch or not, I can always get people to check it out on YouTube too. So what I might do is I might warble some of these. I might warble and use what's its name? I might use warble on some of these. That would be kind of cool. I might actually do that. And create animated GIFs of them. So I have 2 versions of them. I have them animated and not animated. So originally I was gonna call this side eye, but what I decided to do with it is one of the really annoyed ones. So like this is simple stuff Henry did, but my God, it's such a neat pattern to draw. It is so freaking easy. Like I don't know, man. Like I love it, and it gives you, it gives the helmet these different, what do you call it? It gives it different planes and feels. Like it makes it look 3D, and it's simple line stuff. Like I like studying Henry's work too, the way he draws, because I get a lot of ideas and information on how to do stuff. I think that guy's a phenomenal artist. He's freaking amazing. And if you're wondering, when I keep saying Henry, I'll give you a quick idea. I think I have some brother stuff on here too. So this is Henry Wilson's work here. The only thing you see here is I did modifications to it, but this is his work. Let me see if I can find other stuff he's done inside Procreate. That's in the Werble stack. Henry drew that, but I created this by taking the half of his drawing and mirroring it. So I created a picture of the brother and I created one of the other by just mirroring his artwork. So this is Therapy. So these are all, this is the stuff that Henry drew. This was the first motion comic that I did, and that one was called Therapy. I basically darkened the blacks in this one also, because there was a lot of grays, so I made a lot more detailed black stuff. Same thing here, and I brightened up the pictures, so the blacks helped brighten and makes things look like they stood out a little bit more. So that's what I did through a lot of it. I believe there might have been word bubbles on here too, so I actually had to get rid of all of the word bubbles, which was a pain in the butt. I added the brother disappearing here and reappearing, and the spear in his hand when he reappeared, because it's to make it make some sense. Because the brother can't do a lot of the stuff you see him do without the spear. The Infinity Spear is a lot of his power. So that's why I threw it in there. But this is like all of Henry's work. He's like really amazing, like art-wise. That's Henry's work again. This was me playing with the brother. Henry drew that too. This is me taking something Henry drew and manipulating it. And this is my drawings based on seeing Henry stuff, and I drew something similar to his style. Like if we do the brother black and white, this would be kind of cool to use, and I could take all of these pages that you see here for Therapy and make them all black and white. Brother Black and White could be a cool book. So this is my take on something Henry drew. Like, I'm aping his style. The reason the background looks the same too, this is something he created, and I just used it as the background for the star field. But I drew this based on a way he drew the character, and I'm imitating his style. This is something I created, Soul Reaper. And this is what I mean by Henry style. Like, it's crazy. So here's the trick with here, right? That looks like this is the way this drawing always was. but it wasn't. So what happens is we wanted to change the story a little bit. After the brother basically beats this creature or this demon, they made him come back and then somebody else takes out the demon. But it being the brother's book, it shouldn't be done that way. I think the brother should have took him out, and the brother is the guy who gets rid of him. So I'm gonna take off what I added and show you what was there originally. So that's what's there originally. Just so you get a look, that's what's there originally, which is still fantastic. And you can see why I tell you the face is based on his drawing. And then what I just did was I added sky, and then I had to redraw background. So that's how I basically recreated that. And I added those flaming eyes around him. This is not something Henry drew, but it looks, the head is, and nothing else in that background is. So I literally reproduced the work. And you wouldn't be able to tell, like, oh, he didn't do this. You wouldn't be sure. If I don't kind of tell you, unless you're looking at it, you're like, why is this so different? Like, you wouldn't be able to tell in a passing glance. You would say, yeah, it's the same. Same thing with this piece right here. This whole scene over here. You see the guy, his body, the water. That's not actually there. So let me show you what I added. See the guy on the shore? He wasn't really there. But I'm going to keep showing you. See, you can't really see that building here. So I added the building. This guy was completely gone. The ship, you couldn't see the front of it either. So I reproduced something for it. And then completely closed it off. See? So like, that's what I do. Because this is one of the processes. When I'm doing a motion comic, I don't want actual stuff on top of the words. I don't want the words there. I want the backgrounds to be clean so I can actually animate the backgrounds. And then what I do is I'll reapply the words in. So that's the trick that I do. Like every one of these panels you see, same thing happened. I had to remove certain things. Like here, I actually removed Ishu because I wanted to be able to do a disappearance. So I removed them. And when I removed them, I had to redraw that portion. So yeah, that's what I do. Fun stuff. Like I needed a head for Imani, so I took it from something Henry drew and then recreated a Imani face with it. But yeah, fun stuff. That's how I roll. The techniques that you see me doing there, that's like photo retouching. And the idea is that's something kind of like in Marvel Comics, there was a team of people that used to work with John Romita. And they were called Romita's Raiders. And what they did is they would go through comic books that were being drawn. And if something was like jacked up, it didn't look right, these dudes would come in and redraw parts of the book to make it look like it's perfect. And these are some, like I saw one of my favorite books Greg Capullo did. You know him for Batman. He did Quasar for Marvel when he was first starting out, and he was really good. I loved his artwork. Then I saw a page from Quasar that I remember from one of the books we had, Quasar 1, and they showed you this hand that he did for him. The hand was so bad. They showed you what it looked like in the comic, and they showed you what was originally there. We're just like, what? We were shocked. Like I was shocked. Like Greg Capullo is so good now. Like that won't happen anymore. But back in the day, he was having a little hand trouble every now and then. So yeah, it's funny. I can tell you within the last year and a half, I've improved ridiculously with hands. My faces are not crooked anymore. I've gotten really good with eyes. Just maybe about 2 to 3 months ago, my brother showed me this trick with mouths. Like right now, when I draw a woman, a female character, she's usually pretty. That wasn't always true before. I couldn't do it. Sometimes they looked really bad. I was like, ugh. I can draw a pretty character now. Like she's crying, she's doing all this. I can draw Leopard where she's cute and pretty. I can do it over and over again. I wasn't this consistent. I couldn't keep the consistency. Like in the Captain Jamaica book, I drew this character named Tonya, and the way to keep redrawing her face is she's based off a real woman's face, and then after using that real woman as like after using the real woman as the reference for her face, I then basically created a fast version of drawing her face so I could always reproduce it. And then I used that when I was drawing the Captain Jamaica book over and over again. Apex beat. So we're almost done because my loop is almost over. I'm not doing any of this right, in my opinion. With when I'm dealing with the hair, usually I would actually sit down and go look at like what Henry did so I can get it right. But I'm not even stressing myself with this braid. I'm just doing some patterns and then moving on. Yeah, I mean, people really like watching the game streaming more than they do art on Twitch for me anyway. So what I try to do is, like sometimes I'll do art that is based on Catalyst Black. So I might eventually do that Catalyst Black comic that I was talking about with Blue Jay in it. And I might just put it out there. It's not like I'm going to be selling it, but I'll definitely have it on my YouTube channel too if I do the full motion comic. And then I'll be able to post that onto the Catalyst Black server. So the way I always do it is it has to be Catalyst Black related. Some of the other servers, like some of the guild servers that I'm on, that are friends from they're friends from, what do you call it, the beta test and early access phase. Like I'm on their servers. When I'm streaming, I usually tell them, even if it's art related, I put art streams on there too. Don't necessarily mean they're coming to watch, but hey, it never hurts. And it's harder to get people from Facebook to come over because the folks in Facebook, the way they see it is, if I can't watch it on Facebook and I have to leave the site, I'm not leaving. And that's kind of why it doesn't really happen. And like I said, in the greater scheme of things, I really don't care. It's just I can't stream on Facebook anymore. They made it too difficult. Like even when I used to stream, I used to get at least 1 or 2 people, even 3 or 4 people watching. I mean, the streams got a lot of views afterwards too. Maybe sometimes 300. I might download this and put it up there, but it's frustrating. Like I think they did it because they're trying to monetize stuff, but it's the same way. I remember when I first put up my website. I first put up my page before they started monetizing everything. They were letting you get like maybe 30, 40. I got a few hundred. What do you call it? Subs from I believe the Philippines and Indonesia. And what happened is then they wanted you to start paying for stuff, as because right before I started, right when I started, it was right before they started charging for everything. And then they started trying to nickel and dime you for every view, or if you want somebody to see your stuff, you got to pay them. If you want this to happen, you got to pay them. So like I can get my views really high. It takes a little bit of extra time, but what I just do is I just share it to about 35 groups. There's a lot of overlap in the groups with the people that are in them, but I'm not going to be paying you, what do you call it, $40, $50 to get 1,000 people to look at it. So that's just the way it is. Like, I mean, every time you do something, they try to find ways to make it more and more difficult. Like on mobile, it's horrible. If I want to share it to 35 groups, I have to do 35 individual posts. On the computer, I still can do multiple. I can select multiple groups, write a message, and I can just send it to them. So that's just it. Like, I mean, Facebook is consistently making it difficult. Like, unless you're a game streamer on there, like Streamlabs is really silly. You want to stream art, or you want to stream weather, you want to stream something that's not game related, they don't think it's a good idea to have different topics. It's like, it's really weird. Like, you got to pick a game that matches there. Then also, they don't stream to non-gaming pages. So for a period of time, I had a gaming page, and I'm just like, yeah, skip it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that no more. I might have to dump Streamlabs completely and go to OBS, back to OBS. Because I used to stream directly from my computer. Like, the problem with OBS also, and all of those things is, even Restream and all of them, you cannot stream. You cannot stream the content from your iPad, directly from your iPad, like screen sharing, right? So that's one of the problems that I have with it, because I do live on Facebook Live, but I want to stream from my iPad. It's really hard to do. And we're back at the beginning. I'm just going to finish this off. I'm going to probably color offline. I'm not going to be online when I'm doing the colors for this. So just to make her look a little older, I'm purposely adding more angles to her face. Because as you add the angles, it takes away some of the youthfulness that seems to be appearing when you're looking at her face. Because the trick about making something look young, or making a character look young, very large eyes, very rounded face, and then the thing you got to remember too is making the head larger than the body. So back in the day, I used to have a big problem when I was showing my characters. When I did full bodies, everybody looked like kids to me because they all had bigger heads than their body. So even to this day, sometimes I'll be drawing and I'll be like, ugh. I have to actually take the head of the character and shrink it to get the proportion of the body the adult proportion to show. So that's still something I go through. It's not as often, but it's still there. I want to try to finish this today, because I actually want to get this up on the Discord server. And the reason I'm not doing these effects, because they're going to be on their own layer, each one of them. So I'm not really concerning myself with that. And what I'm going to do is probably, when I'm done with the inks, I'm going to cut them all out into their own layer and then start setting them up. I got to look up what this one is called for CB, for Catalyst Black. And I'm going to have these sitting in my computer and on my iPad as an album. So when I want to do reactions, because like I said, I don't know exactly how the sticker thing works on Facebook. So far from what I'm seeing is you have to have 5,000 followers for your gaming site or whatever the hell it is. So I don't think I'll be able to upload those there. I don't think I'm gonna be able to upload them to any of them. I got to see what Instagram does. So, but yeah. Like you'll show people something, they'll be like, "Hey, this is really cool." And then when you say, "Hey, you want me to do it?" "Oh yeah, that'd be awesome." I'm like, "Okay, it's gonna cost. I have to pay." Yuck, 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 yuck. So funny. Yeah, you'd have to pay. There's no freebies. I have bills I'd like to pay too. Would you like to help me do that? It's like, in the greatest scheme of things, man, I don't know what to tell you. It's rough. Wait a second. That's why. I shouldn't have followed them. That was weird. I think I gotta flip this upside down, upside up. Cool. Yeah, that looks right. So the thing I found out, which is really interesting, if you ever are trying to finish off a shape in a hand or something like that, and you're not sure how it's shaped, draw a triangle. It usually is the right shape. Very freaking weird, but that's literally what I do.
nowadays. I draw three-sided shapes to fit in to spots to give me hey, that's what that's gonna look like. So that's pretty much it. Triangles are your best friends, bro. I don't know. Like I'm telling you, that YouTuber man, when he came up with that line, it was kind of crazy. Another YouTuber made fun of it, but seriously though, it's not bad advice at all. It's your shape structures. Triangles are a better basic shape structure than say an oval. A triangle is a better shape structure. Cause look, triangle. I'm gonna show you all the triangles that are still here. It's still a triangle. I just didn't draw it as a straight line. Curved bottom, that's still a triangle. That's still another triangle. And you'll notice by just doing a bunch of little triangles, I create a structure that seems extremely sound. I'm telling you, man, triangles are the truth. And if you really think about it, the structure of the shape helps you a lot more because you're drawing less. This is infinite points. That's how you create a circle or an oval. This is four shapes. This is exactly three. More things in nature have a three-sided shape to them. Curves, turns, so on and so forth. A lot of the things I draw them in rounded triangles. They're triangles. I choose not to draw the ovals anymore. To a point where sometimes the shape don't look right, but then you're like, screw it. I'm gonna force that triangle in there. And it helps. So fun fact, I don't have to draw both sides. I'm not drawing the hand again. That's another thing about digital. To be honest with you, man, you don't need to draw anything. You don't need to draw anything twice, especially when they look identical. All you got to do is go to your hand dandy selection tool. Let's try that again. Handy dandy selection tool. And what you're gonna do is just gonna select. You're gonna copy. You're gonna copy, duplicate, boom. And then from the duplication, we're just gonna do a select on that one. Select, flip horizontally. And ixo facto. There you go. That problem solved. Like, there's no way I was gonna redraw that. That's one of the fun things about digital art. It's way faster in certain respects. There's no way I have to sit down and draw two of the same freaking hands. Because every time I've done this hand, I've literally just copied it over. Because both hands are doing the exact same thing. All right, let's close this off. Oh, seriously, come on, man. I should have been made it. Really? What? Isn't that the reference? Ugh, son of a monkey dog. Merge. There you are. So this is the trick. And these are the treats. So we're almost done. So now all we have to do is just do the eyes. So when I do eyes, there's always light hitting the eyes. It's always and forever. It's like that's my trick. Male or female eyes, they all have that little thing going on them. And that's just a trademark of my eyes now. If you look at almost anything I draw, that's one of the ways you can tell that I drew it, because the eyes will look like that. So what'll be kind of cool is to be able to, ooh, things I forgot to do. One circle here, one circle there. No. Go all the way through. There you go. I had forgotten that. There you go. Look at that. Pretty, pretty. Haven't finished her hair though. Her eyes are done. Oh, this eye is missing the cute eye thing. And then her lips too. Woohoo! She's so pretty. Pretty, pretty. The heck is that? What are they, Yeah, thanks, pretty pal. Yeah, I don't know what. To what? From where? Cooley, she's going live or something. Party up. I don't know what they're playing. What's these guys? What's in the guild chat? Somebody did a post inside that stuff. I'm going to go check that out later. Okay, you know what? This is just getting silly. Let's just look at it again. Oh my god, they're just Y's. God, I'm so stupid. V's and Y's. So it's a V here and a Y here.
V's and Y's. That's all he's doing. V's and Y's. V's and Y's. That's a lot easier than what I was doing. It is really warm in my room. It's really weird. It's the total opposite of the way it usually is. Very nice. V's and Y's. And then this is something I learned from Jamal Logan when you're doing braids. Holy moly, how did I miss this? Right, fill in, boom. We gotta separate this one here too. There you go. All right, leopard, away you go, girl. And let's see, drop it like it's hot. All right, if we drop all of them, look at that, pretty. Blue Jay giving you the thumbs up. Oops. Let's clean this up a little bit here. It looks great, like a certain tiger would say. There you are. Yeah, and also like when I draw Blue Jay, the whole idea with him too, like see this one looks really young. It's because the lips are so big. So I have to make the lips a little smaller. And then I can add in the detail of his adult face. That's why it looks so young. It's the lips are huge. And the chin looks a little too small too. So actually I'm gonna fix this one for sure. Yeah, chin's too small. There you go. So this design has its problems, but I don't draw it that much. That's the reason why I'm not as good at. That's my design. So I can draw Blue Jay like that all day, every day. It's super easy for me. I know that design, like forwards and backwards. So I can draw him all day that way. So let's try to add some. Yeah. Like this version of cool too is kind of silly, like I said. Why would a person wearing a helm like that be wearing sunglasses on top of it? So damn stupid, but that's what makes these things funny. That helps a lot more. The glasses will leave the shadow too. And there you go. That's the inked version of all of these characters for now. Just got to do some colors on here and then we should be good to go. And let's look at our other 6 from the beginning. So we're gonna be something like this when we're done. So, fun time.